a 13-year-old child was arrested and taken into detention by ICE. Put a full mask. So here we go. This is your federal law enforcement agency known as ICE. A child in Massachusetts has been taken out of state by ICE, away from his family. Now the community is rallying around the family and demanding his release. We stand with that family and that community. The family remains in Massachusetts. The child was in the 7th grade. The mother, Miss Berto, only occasionally gets to speak with her son on the phone, never any officials. We have the details. Last Thursday, she was called by police in Everett, Massachusetts, a Boston suburb, who said her son, Arthur, had been arrested. She was told she needed to pick him up. But Miss Berto left the police station without Arthur that night. After waiting in the station for more than an hour, an officer informed her that immigration and customs enforcement had already taken him away. Quote, "They didn't give me any information," said Ms. Berto, who is from Brazil, and along with her family, have had a pending asylum application since arriving in the United States in 2021. Quote, "I asked where he was being taken, and they said they weren't allowed to say." Before I continue, allow me to address that statement. They are not allowed to say. This is a local police officer who serves in a local community. It was the local police who called Ms. Berto to come and pick up her child. It is a juvenile. Once again, the parent typically has absolute right to what happened, cause, effect, nature of the charges. Why? Because the child is being released back to the custody of the guardian. That's why. That's the guardian. So the local police, who is supposed to serve Ms. Berto and that community, appointed by a local city or county government who has been elected locally by that same community, they have told her, "We're not allowed to tell you where your child has been taken." Well, who told you you're not allowed? What statute says you're not allowed? What administrative policy can you point to say you're not allowed? You're not even mandated to work with ICE, period. Many law enforcement agencies have chosen not to do so, or to do so at a minimal level. There's more. Berto and her attorney both told CNN they spent days waiting to learn what led to the arrest, information they finally got Tuesday afternoon. Quote, "After an investigation, officers arrested the juvenile and recovered a 6 to 7-inch double-bladed knife," Demaria said, adding that, quote, "No guns were found. Once the child was taken into custody, officials took his fingerprints, which were procedurally sent to ICE to, quote, determine if you are an illegal entry," end quote. Everett Police Chief Paul Strong said during the press conference with the mayor, officials said ICE came to detain the child on Thursday afternoon. Everett Mayor Carlo DeMario said in a news conference, a teenage boy whom he declined to name because he is a juvenile was arrested last week after Everett police received a, quote, credible tip accusing him of making a violent threat against another child within our public school. Once again, they are criminalizing the child. The mayor also said police did not contact ICE about the juvenile's arrest and is not targeting immigrants in the city. which he says has a sizable undocumented population. But he was vague about how federal authorities came to know about the case and take the teen away within hours. Put him up. Quote, to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time a juvenile has been taken by ICE from the Everett Police Department, Police Chief Paul Strong said in a news conference. Sir, you're there to lead that community. It's a child. After learning her son was detained by ICE, Ms. Berto's immigration attorneys took the case to federal court. And a judge in Massachusetts ordered the government to either explain by Tuesday night why this child's detention is justified, or give him the opportunity to be released on bond. The U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment on the case. Ms. Berto initially only learned about her son's whereabouts through his phone calls. He has called her from 2 different immigration facilities, one in Massachusetts and another one in Virginia. Quote, he cried a lot because he had never been away from home. He had never been away from his family, said Ms. Berto. He was desperate, saying ICE had taken him. Now the community is rallying around the family, demanding the release of this 13-year-old child. To the police agencies around America, there's some precedent here that rarely gets talked about via public platforms. But you can find it, once again, I've cited this before, jurisdiction and case law, City of Atlanta, and Georgia State Troopers versus federal agents, various agencies. Those local police, that state police agency, they arrested federal agents. This was under the leadership of, I believe, Chief Eldrin Bell during the what we would call Red Dog era in the city of Atlanta. Those arrests were upheld as proper, as within jurisdiction, etc. So there's precedent here. But you gotta have heart, let me put it that way, to do something like that if you believe that there are violations within your local community. Now, I'm not calling for some kind of open conflict. What I'm saying is that not only did law enforcement agencies at a time as corrupt written as they were, many elements of corruption existed in those agencies even back then. They not only fought the fight of personal and local advocacy, they also fought that fight inside of the court to justify it. Another district attorney named Paul Howard, Fulton County, case in point, when the federal government said that he could not prosecute an individual due to their law enforcement status and them being connected to a federal coalition of law enforcement agencies, he went to the court and sued the federal government in order to get access to the record for prosecution. These are elements that typically are never discussed because they're not as easy on a talking point, but they are relevant. They have been utilized and sometimes even successfully so. All right, Yasmin, thoughts here.
Yeah, I just want to read something from the Houston Chronicle that just came out. This is an article from last week, but it says Houston police officers have called federal immigration agents on civilians over 100 times since Trump took office in January. And that's a jump of over 1,000% from any previous year over the previous 5 years. The vast majority of those 107 calls to ICE came as the result of a traffic stop, and only 3 offense reports For responses to domestic violence, aggravated robbery, and narcotics complaints, did officers indicate that the subject had been suspected of any kind of serious crime? So that's what we're dealing with here in Houston. I imagine that it's similar elsewhere in big cities like this one around the country. This happened in a suburb of Boston. Boston is obviously a blue state. Massachusetts is a blue state, and Boston is a blue city. But ICE is out of control, and it is a disgrace that local police departments are not protecting their residents from these ICE thugs, because that's what they are. Maybe it's not entirely surprising, but it is disgraceful. ICE is staffed with the worst of us. They are sad, weak men who are filled with hate, who are numb on the inside for whatever reason, however they got that way. They're probably intellectually incapable of thinking very deeply about what it is that they're doing to other human beings or to their country, let alone to children. But to join ICE, you just have to join. They're so desperate to recruit people because only the worst of us would sign up to turn on and then forcefully detain and expel people within your own country. And they're willing to do this for what, like 100K? That is very sad. It should be embarrassing for them. That should not be enough money to sell one's soul, but maybe they don't have any souls to sell in the first place.
In a related story, many career ICE agents have resigned.
Yeah, that is a good point, especially on the administrative level.
That's right. So hopefully they come out and give us more information about what's happening, because the nuggets that we have, the bits and pieces that we have trying to put this puzzle together, may likely be the tip of the iceberg.